like 18 months. When was the last time you came on?
Yeah, it was probably like 18 months ago, something like that. Because I've been on council almost 2 years.
It was like March or April last year.
Okay.
Because I remember it was the seafood truck event was like in February or March.
Oh, that's right.
That's where I hit you up. And you're
Oh
like, yeah, I'm down.
that's where we met, huh?
Yeah. I was someone recommended. Oh, it was Chubbs.
Oh yeah.
He's like, hey, you gotta have Oscar on. He's gonna be amazing.
Nice.
And so thank you for coming back and accepting the invitation.
Thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here.
So the first thing I want to say is just because a lot of people that subscribe to me, they want to know about Coachella. Like, is there any updates? What is your take? You being on city council?
Yeah.
Do you think it's gonna happen in April? What's like the word in the street?
I wouldn't. I'm not counting on it, right? Especially for our city budget. I think we need to be ready for it not to happen. Hopefully it would happen, but the way that things are looking, and when I'm listening to the experts on how long this pandemic's going to last, it doesn't seem like it's going to be over by 8.
Yeah,
that's just from the projections that I'm getting now.
Okay, yeah, especially if the governor said that he doesn't want any large gatherings until there's a vaccine. And California being the strictest state, I feel like it's not going to happen this way too soon.
Yeah, I doubt it, but we'll see. Hopefully they can come up with something like
not even a smaller version.
Well, I hope they can come up with something like innovative, right? Like I feel like they'll figure something out. They'll make something happen, right? Even if it's not what we're used to.
It's money to be made. They're gonna figure something out. Yeah. I saw a concert in England. I don't know if you got to see those, where they had like little fenced out areas.
Oh, dang.
And you rent it out like maybe 5 people per area. Oh. So if you and your friends or your group, but you can't leave the area unless you just go to the restroom or go get a drink or something. But you have to stay there the whole time.
I saw Anderson .Paak was on Fortnite. He did a concert on Fortnite yesterday. So people would watch him on the game, or something.
They've been doing a lot of like those live stream concerts, DJs. It's easier for like DJs. It's hard to like set up the like a live band or just performance artists, like people that dance on stage and stuff. It's hard to do that at home because you need that big stage and the production. But DJ's been taking advantage of that, having those like live events. Steve Aoki's been doing some.
Oh yeah.
And another thing that they're doing in other states is like drive-through raves. So you sit in your car and there's like a stage, but you can't get out the car. So you listen to
how they dance.
Exactly. It's kind of dumb. And there was a Chainsmoker concert maybe a month ago where everyone got the car and started going forward, and it just turned into a big old like they disregarded social distancing, so it turned into a controversy because of that.
Dang.
Which you understand, like people are just gonna start if you don't control it, people are gonna not care, especially if you're around people that like that music.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
What about like Coachella in October? Do you think that might be more plausible?
Next October,
not 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I really don't know. It's kind of just like waiting it out and seeing what we're kind of rolling with the punches. And for me, I'm always just preparing for the worst, right? Like, let's assume that we're not going to get those revenues. And for me, I'm looking at it from city revenues, right?
How did that affect? Because you guys lost all the Coachellas, the whole month of April. It's huge, 3 big festivals. You guys get a lot of your city budget from that. So
yeah, our projections right now are showing about 13 million that we're down.
13 million short?
Yeah.
Damn.
And luckily we have reserves, the city. So we're going to be taking some of that out of the reserves. We have Measure X that goes into our streets and public safety. And we're going to be using some of that too to reinforce the general fund to make sure that we can get through the year.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking okay. And I was telling you earlier, it looks like we're getting $3 million in sales tax more than we anticipated at the couple of months ago. So we just found that out yesterday. So that's looking good as well. And that'll maybe even make up for some of that loss from Coachella.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's good news, though, because, I mean, you're losing so much, in especially
restaurants.
Like, that's got to be such a huge wreck, because I understand outdoors, people could still come out and dine and take out. But here, it's been, like 120, humid. Like, this whole summer has been pretty terrible.
Yeah.
And there's no way like, I personally don't want to go to a restaurant, sit outside when it's 120 degrees.
No, and luckily it's cooling down, so I'm hoping they'll be able to get some more revenues there, right, with the cooler weather and people.
Yeah.
And even then, I mean, I've been seeing in other, areas like Beaumont and Banning, people were still coming out pretty strong to eat out there. And even here, right, you still see people eating outside.
You still see it.
So it'll grow, and I think people, we'll have to adapt, right, to what we can. Yeah. Right now, we're still in the widespread phase as far as our county.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're still the way that the governor set it up now. You have to go about 3 weeks with your lowering your numbers for 3 weeks before you can step up to the next.
Okay.
So that we're not seeing that up and down going.
So how's it been the last 3 weeks, like in the county?
The last week we actually did good. So if we stayed on course 2 more weeks, then we'd be able to go into opening restaurants with 25% capacity.
Oh, indoor dining.
Yeah, and then after that, it would be the 50%.
Okay.
Yeah, but right now we're still in the widespread phase.
Yeah, because they just allow salons, hair salons, and barbershops and stuff like those type of services to open recently.
Yeah.
Was that the last phase? That's the first phase, or what?
That's still the first phase. Yeah, even in the first phase, you can still have the barbershops.
Okay, well, at least start some businesses. And going back to, you said there was a $3 million increase in revenue. Is that just because there's more business happening around the city, around the Coachella Valley, or where's that come from?
You know, I think a lot of it's probably online sales. Like people at home are shopping, you know, and now there's a new law that came in a couple years ago where even if you're buying something that's, you know, let's say it's Amazon, that it's coming from New York or something, if that company's making more than $100,000, and they have to pay into the taxes here in India, even though you're ordering from New York, they still pay taxes.
Oh, to make up for the loss of the mom and pop shops, instead of people shopping at the swap meet.
Yeah, so we'll still get their sales tax for all those online.
Damn, I didn't even know about
for the
that.
Big company.
No, yeah. If you're making over 100,000, that's a big amount of money. That's pretty good. I work construction, so we do a lot of tile business, and right now it's probably our busiest summer we've ever had. Like, to be honest, we talk to other contractors, and they can't find workers. We can't find enough workers. Wow. It's pretty crazy. Like, everyone's building. I feel
like a lot of people are doing home improvements, right? And building those extra, you know, just doing whatever they can at home, right? Because they're home. Yeah, but the groceries are also, like, grocery sales are going up as well, because everybody, you know, you can't go out and eat.
No, it's kind of like you switch from spending all your money going to restaurants, and it hurts the restaurants and the service industry. I think the folks that are hurting most is like people that work in the service industry, the waiters, the people at the hotels. We have so many resorts and hotels here.
And then even when you take into account the unemployment, right? Unemployment's not pay you tips.
Yeah.
And that's a huge
that's
the restaurant industry.
Commissions and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough for a lot of people, like millions and millions of people all over the world are just suffering. And then there's other people that are kind of taking advantage of the situations, maybe save money, maybe look at, I was spending too much money doing this, let me cut back. Maybe it's a kind of a wake-up call. That's the way I look at it. For personally, I was spending a lot of money going to concerts, going to all these live events, going to a restaurant. Like, it's cool, but like, okay, let me focus and readjust everything. So it's kind of like take a step back before you take a step forward. So yeah, did that happen to you too? Like readjusting everything?
I don't really go out too much anyway, like to eat and everything. So I'm pretty much a homebody. So to me, it didn't change too much, but it did change a little bit because, you know, at other times I get invited to a lot of events as a council member, right? Yeah. And going to be in all these different things. And now it's kind of like definitely slowed down a bit. So trying to take advantage of that too, and, you know, grow my business and study up a little bit more for my council meetings and everything, and just take advantage of the, you know, I used to have like one meeting is in LA. So after my first council meeting every month, I had to get out like 8 o'clock and had to drive out to LA, you know, get to my hotel like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. Yeah. Be at another meeting by like 8:30 in the morning. And so that it saved me a lot of time. It's pretty much a whole day that I was losing, right?
Yeah. So all the meetings turn into Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that makes it so much easier because a lot of these meetings can be done over Zoom. Yeah. Like a lot of time, like you said, you're 2 hours driving there, 2 hours driving back. The whole, your body's draining just from the travel, and now it makes it easier. Now you can focus on things that you want to focus on. And one thing I've been noticed, I talk to homeowners, so when we work on projects, I like to have conversations, and they've been telling me a lot of people, like, they're living the big cities. They're living in LA, San Diego, and they're moving to cheaper places like the Coachella Valley just because a lot of people are working remotely from home. Yeah. Why are you paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in a small apartment when you could get a house here? Yeah. Work 3-4 days out of the week, and you're through emails, phones, whatever. And if you need to like drive to LA, it's only 2 hours away. It's not like you've moved too far away. Yeah. So have you guys seen a lot of people, or how are the numbers? You don't know.
I'm definitely seeing that, right? And I'm on the Coachella Valley Economic Partnership meetings that happen once a month as well. Yeah. And they're cranking out the numbers all the time, and they're saying the same thing, right? They're saying the big cities, people are leaving, people are thinking long term, you know, working remotely, and they're moving, and a lot of them are looking here. For some reason, like, we have a lot of attention right now. Yeah. From people moving out of those cities, and you know, which is an opportunity, but also a concern, right? So the opportunity is that you got more people, more money coming in, right?
Yeah.
So all those restaurants going to get busier, right? If you got a store, you're going to have more people coming to your store and all that. But to me, the concern is the housing, right? We are already seeing the housing prices have gone up so much in the past couple of years, and then to keep going higher and higher, I don't know. It's just we're already seeing a lot of displacement, right?
Yeah, like gentrification, right? Like people coming in with higher incomes, people that have been here in the valley for 20, 30 years, and maybe their income hasn't really increased. Now their values, like they might not be able to afford the prices.
Yeah.
And are you guys working on any kind of like affordable housing to combat this type of issue?
I'm definitely always looking for opportunities for affordable housing here. I think it's definitely necessary. The lines are ridiculous, you know. I don't know if you know people that have applied for affordable housing, but there's hundreds of people in line, like at every place, right? And it's years of wait time. So it's just really necessary right now. And we're also looking at even the other day I brought it up at the Salton Sea, right? So I know somebody who moved out from Indio that they were senior citizens already.
Yeah.
But her husband was sick, and because of the medical bills, they had to move out to Salton. And now she works in Rancho Mirage. You know, she's
God damn.
So now she's driving from Salton Sea to Rancho Mirage every day, and they barely got enough like money to eat right now. So it's just like seeing stuff like that really, you know, it makes it. It's very urgent to me that we find some kind of solutions, right, for affordable housing here, and even was like thinking about rent control and those kind of things too. And I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback for that, but I'm seeing it, right? I'm seeing the displacement. I'm not here. You know, when I get elected, I feel like I'm here to represent the people that are here now, you know?
Yeah.
Not to grow.
Not the people that are coming, they're going to...
Yeah. And if they come, then you know, we're growing as a city, but my priority is the people that live here now. You know, I'm not going to just be pushing for more money if that means we're going to be displacing all of our work. No. The people that have built this city for so long, right?
Yeah.
And added so much to this community. It's like, no, we got to watch out for that.
And is there any developments? Because I know you guys are trying to develop some apartments in downtown Indio, and they already kind of started. Is that going to be for affordable housing, or who's going to be able to apply for those, or how's the project looking?
That one, I don't think that one's affordable housing. That one's going to be market rate housing.
Okay.
I am looking at a few other, with developers and with the county at a few other locations where we could get some stuff started. I try to work closely with the Coachella Valley Housing Coalition.
Yeah.
They do a lot of really good projects out here too. So like the farm labor camp out there that they have going, really nice apartments, you know, and the people out there, they're good people.
Yeah.
There's so much pushback a lot of times when you talk about affordable housing. And that's actually one of the reasons that we came into this, because we realized that our council wasn't talking about affordable housing, right? And sometimes it seems like you're going to scare off business if you put affordable housing in place. We're in the biggest housing crisis we've seen in decades, right?
Yeah, and it's like the people that live in Indio and Coachella, it's almost the same demographics, but the people in Indio, like, they're all the servers, they're the workers, you know, like of the Coachella Valley.
Yeah.
Because even when the COVID spike started happening, it was most of the people on this side of town, because all the servers and everybody, they kind of live here, then they go work at all these Palm Springs hotels, and they get exposed, and they bring it to their families, their communities. So these people, like, we got to take care of them, and I'm glad that you're doing and taking initiatives and doing all this.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the number one like issue right now? Of course, COVID. That's number one, like safety, having everyone ready. But what's something you guys been talking about, like moving, like any plans, developments? I know there's maybe a park in the way that you guys posted recently.
There's that sports park that they're proposing out there on 44 in Jackson, around that area. There's a huge lot there. So we're looking at what we can do in terms of that, and also how we're going to get that fund. So that might be like some kind of tax initiative. Yeah. Or we'll have to find a way to bring those funds together for that sports park. But we're also, I think the number one issue, though, to answer your question, it's housing. Again, going back, I think so. It just drains so much of people's paycheck, right? That it leaves little for, and that's the reason that you're going to lose healthcare, right? That's the reason that we're going to have displacement. That's the reason that people are living crammed in a house, right? 3 families in one home and stuff, which causes other issues, right? Yeah. Yeah. So to me, that's like a very just super important issue for me to make sure that people are able to. Besides,
like, people are moving back to their parents' houses now too. Like not just people leaving LA to move over here with their family. Like people that already left the valley, they're starting to come back. They're like, you know, I'm gonna go save some money, go live with my mom and dad, and trying to, like, everybody's coming back. So it's definitely gonna be a tough year. What it's like I was gonna ask you, going back to the budget, since you guys have a lot of revenue loss from Coachella and all this, is there any programs that are going to be cut? Like, are you guys going to cut something back? Maybe put a pause to some of these, like, programs for the city? Like, is there anything that's been kind of on the talks right now?
No, there's not too much that's getting cut. Like we're going into our revenues a little bit. Luckily, we have money saved up, and usually we try not to mess with it too much. We want to have a good savings account there, but we're gonna use it now so that we can keep everything. We run on kind of on a minimum budget, right?
Yeah.
We don't have a huge staff in India. We have a very big city, but we don't have too much staff. But everybody works really hard there, and we got really good people working, But so we didn't cut any positions. We're still keeping everything going as is, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a few projects that were coming up, right? That we're gonna a lot of the, I guess, more extracurricular things that we would want to do. We're gonna have to cut down and stick with the basics, right? To make sure all the basics are met first, and then go from there.
What happened with the fair? Why did that get canceled so quickly? Because that got canceled, like a month ago or something?
Yeah, I mean, they know, right? They know it's, and this is the fair. It's a huge project, so they got to plan ahead. So then if it's going to be uncertain, because just the preparation for it probably costs so much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first time the national, well, for those that don't know, the National Date Festival, is that the first time it's been canceled? Or
I don't know. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
I was kind of a little sad when I found out, just because I know a lot of people complain, and if you go every year, it's always the same every year, and it's the same. But it's just like a community event, something you wanted to do, like,
yeah,
it's fun. But if it is for the safety of people, and I was kind of shocked that they canceled so early, but it makes sense. If it's such a big event, you got to hire security, you got logistics, setting everything up.
And then even to get a picture of what's going on right in our county. So I was looking at some numbers and comparing to other countries, because I feel like we're kind of in the American bubble, right? And we're looking at states in America and this and that, and comparing ourselves. But then when you go outside and you look internationally, like we were doing really bad. The way our hospitals were packed down to at one point like 90-something% capacity and everything. And so I was looking at some numbers, and so if we compare, we have like 2.5 million people in Riverside, right?
Yeah.
And we had 56,000 cases and about 1,000 deaths. In Japan, they have 126 million and they had 78,000. So just a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
like
the entire
50%
country.
more. Well, they're 50 times larger, and they're like close to our numbers.
Yeah,
50 times larger as the whole country, and we were getting close to their numbers just here in Riverside County with 2.5 million people.
That's insane.
Yeah, and then you look at South Korea too, and they got 51 million people, right? So they're 20 times larger than they had. Less than half of our with 20 times larger.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So when you start looking internationally, you can see like I know we get a lot of complaints, right?
Do you think that's because we do more testing, or what do you think it contributes to those numbers?
I think they had a much more like uniform
plan,
right? So South Korea was one of the first people that come up with a test, and their test worked, right? We came up with a test pretty fast, and it was failing. Mm-hmm. So you were getting people
false tests, false positives,
and then people were losing trust in the test. And then we also had so many people who didn't want to wear masks, just didn't want to comply, and all these parties everywhere, right? Like I think it's culturally. It's culturally too, right? That like there had to be some a difference, right, in the way things were happening. I'm always like looking to other places.
How many people do you think that have had COVID already?
A lot.
Like I was making an account. I thought somebody posted on Twitter like, "Oh, how many people do you know had COVID?" I probably know over 15, probably like.
Oh, I'm over 30 for sure.
Over 15 for sure. Like I couldn't remember everybody, but for at least 15, just on the top of my head. Like,
yeah.
I had COVID too.
Oh, you did?
I had COVID like 3 months ago.
Oh, dang. How was it?
Oh, 2 months ago. It wasn't that bad. Yeah. I had fever. That's like basically the only symptom I had. I started with a dry cough. I just started feeling like funny. I was like, man, what the hell is this? So I went to get checked just in case. I took the test right here in Indio at the fairgrounds. And then I didn't get the results till like 3. By the time I got the results, I started feeling like just sweating and like fevers. I started taking like the medicine, just Tylenol. And then I would feel fine. And for 4 days, I would just get like this random fever spike, like just fever throughout the day, like maybe like at 5 p.m. And then the nights kind of sucked. I was like twisting and turning.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a good night's sleep. And then the next day I would feel fine, like all day. I was just in the room. And then like at 4 or 5, I'll get another fever. Just take some medicine, and it will go away. Then at night it'll suck. So it was like 4 days. Then after the 4 days, I was kind of just recovering, and I was probably out for like 10 days. And then I started feeling no symptoms anymore. Yeah. I still had a cough, just like a cough, but no more fevers, no nothing. I never lost my taste of smell or taste or all that, my sense. And then they called me from the Riverside County because they check up on you.
Yeah.
They're like, if you have that's what they told me, was if you have 24 hours with no symptoms, that means you're pretty much clear. Mm-hmm. But I waited like an extra 3 days just in case.
Yeah.
So they cleared me on a Monday, and I waited like till the next Friday to like actually interact with people and go out and stuff, just because I wanted to be safe. But I didn't really have it as bad as other people, because I've heard some people that have had it. Well, some people have died. I mean, not to take that lightly, but
even young people, right, that had like pretty severe symptoms.
Yeah, some people that have had it for like 20, 30 days, 3
God.
weeks, 4 weeks. I've heard of a lot of cases. And then some people are asymptomatic. They tested positive. They didn't even have any symptoms. I've heard of stories like that.
I don't think I had it. Not yet. I just got tested like 2 weeks ago too. Came out negative. Luckily, I was able to work from home for a long time.
Yeah,
at the lab I'm working right now, there's only like 3 people there, me and 2 other people, so not really exposed too much.
Yeah, it was. I caught it going to a party.
Oh dang!
It wasn't a big party. It was maybe like 8 people there.
Yeah,
or like six or 7 people. I don't remember, but it was just like I got it from there because someone else had it that day, and then they tested positive first, and then I tested positive. So I'm pretty sure I got it from there.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to do any social interactions. At least keep it minimal, and be smart. I kind of learned my lesson. It was kind of scary because you hear all these headline news and all this stuff, and the doctors did say like, don't watch the news, don't go on social media. That's because you start thinking like all these negative thoughts, but it's like you're most likely going to be fine. Just like kind of keep your head away from all the negativity.
Yeah, get some rest, right?
Get some rest.
Some good food, good rest. And
I was just eating caldo de pollo, caldo de res. That's all I was eating. Tea. that should help though. The tea's good.
That's good.
It was kind of like a regular sickness, just a little stronger. It didn't feel like a regular flu, just like a more severe flu. But just home remedies, and that's it. Like the lady said, don't
got
go.
The Vicks or what?
Yeah, that should cure me, bro. The big Vaporu, that's it. That's all I took. I didn't even take Tylenol, bro. I was just like, I'm just gonna put that shit on my chest and on my forehead, and we good.
That's funny.
No, but COVID is just like, after I had it, I kind of like lost some fear because I was more scared before I had it. Then after having it, even though it sucked and I don't want to get it again, like that shit sucks. But it's like, okay, I kind of at least feel like since I kind of experienced some of it and I know some symptoms are different. So, but I was like, okay, cool. Like it's not as bad as we expected. Like I remember when the first news come out, it's like 8% mortality rate. You're like 8%. That's huge, It was that first. And then you were seeing, I remember watching videos from Italy.
Oh, like, man.
The hospitals were overwhelmed and they didn't have no freaking doctors, and the doctors and nurses were getting sick.
Well, how was happening? Oh, it was like, I remember there was one floor here at one of the hospitals that 17 people out.
Yeah.
Workers.
17 workers.
17 workers out of one.
Damn.
Like, yeah, we're good. That was during the critical point, right? When we were like at our worst.
Yeah.
That's when I was getting worried, for sure.
That's probably like April or May. No, March, April, May. Those first 3 months, because it was such an alien thing, like we didn't know. Nobody knew how bad it was gonna be. Yeah. Those were some troubled times.
Yeah.
And
I think it really sucks too that like with for some reason here, like we got to see it to believe it, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, no, it's not real. And then they know people that pass away or that gets really sick. And then, they start wearing the mask, start being careful and everything.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Like, why couldn't we just do that from the beginning? Like, I just feel like we would have been able to stay open, right?
Yeah.
Like, the shutdown wouldn't have been as long if we would have known what we were doing, right? And just got educated on how it works, how to, wear a mask properly and distancing and everything. Just not how it happened,
Yeah. It's a lot of people. We have, I don't know, not too much freedom, but we just we feel, I don't know why people feel like wearing a mask is taking away your freedoms when you're literally preventing yourself from getting sick and other people from getting sick and your loved ones, like that would suck if a family member and then they get sick and then maybe they pass away or something. You have little kids or older people. I don't want my parents to catch it or my grandparents.
See, I was looking at Japan because one of my friends, I have friends that have been, right? Mm-hmm. And they were saying that when people are sick, they wear masks. Like you'll see people wearing masks. Yeah. That's been happening for years, right? Because they know that they're going to spread it to somebody else. So out of courtesy, like what they do, they wear masks if they're sick to keep, their workers safe. Or if you're on a train and you're sick, everybody's wearing masks. Or just high crowded places. And everybody, I forgot, my friend told me, I don't know if she was in a train or something. And said that everybody had a mask there except her. Because she wasn't from there, right? And that was 3 years ago. Wow. Yeah. So that's why I was looking up. I was like, okay, they're already careful, So what are their numbers like? I started seeing the difference.
And then once this happens, they're even extra. They probably ramped it up. And that's good. I think that just makes more sense. Like we kind of do a lot of stuff that compromises our health, you know, and even if there's no COVID, like you still catch all kinds of diseases, and people don't even take care of themselves all the time.
Yeah.
Parties, sharing blunts, smoking, taking shot glasses, and beer pong, like, you know what I mean? Like all that shit. Like all that shit. You're just, it's like germs everywhere. Even if there was no COVID, like you're catching all kinds of shit. So,
and I'm like, I wasn't too careful about like stuff like that either, too, right? But yeah, just getting that deeper scientific understanding of everything that works. Just be a little more careful about these things.
I know. Maybe we gotta play at least water pong, guys.
Yeah,
like, you gotta take it back.
You pour it into one cup and drink out of that one.
No, you gotta get your own can. If you make it, you drink out of the can. You're just shooting the ball, but I mean, even then, you're still touching the ball. So I don't know.
That's true.
You gotta have those like
hand
wipes.
sanitizer.
Spray the ball every time. That should be crazy. No, but then you had people doing like in Alabama. I think they were doing like catch COVID parties. Like,
oh yeah, that's
like why?
Yeah, but I feel like that's a really small part of the population. Like when I hear stories like that, I'm like,
that's true. It's the outliers.
Yeah, it's the outliers. But they always make the news, right?
It's all the headlines. They're trying to find negative or weird stories.
And when you really look at it, I mean, at least out here, right? It was mostly workers. People were catching it. When they
service workers.
Service workers. And everybody's working. You see Indio and Coachella were like the highest numbers for so long, right?
Yeah.
Where everyone's working everywhere at the grocery store, the restaurant.
Yeah, and the grocery stores too. When it first started, they were so overwhelmed. Just lines
there
out
was no
the
toilet
door.
paper.
Bro, the world was gonna end. But at least we all had toilet paper.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy, bro. Like I went to Chino. I was working over there in Chino, and I stopped by a Home Depot. But it was like 6 or 7 in the morning. And right next to the Home Depot was a Costco. Dude, the line it was like 2 hours till they opened. Like they didn't open for another 2 hours. And the line was like looping like a snake outside in the parking lot. It was insane, dude. I was like, that's crazy, bro.
I remember the first week I went to Winkle. I think I went like at 4 in the morning or something. And it was already, there was a lot of people there, but they had actually just stopped the 24-hour operation.
Yeah.
So we were all there like, hey, what's going on? Why is it closed? But yeah, that was a trip. And then when I went back when it was actually open, this is insane.
Do you have a lot of stuff stored up just in case another big wave or something?
You know, I got lucky because I had just finished work at a spot, and they told me to take I had just taken home a bunch of like wipes and soap and toilet paper.
Yeah.
So I was stocked up when all this things. So I was okay.
Last time I had in the podcast, we talked about how there was no marijuana shops in India. There was no shops. They have some in Coachella. They have some in Palm Desert, all this stuff. And why How's that process been going in the last 18 months?
Man, not good. No, we're still getting, we just don't have a lot of support on that. Mm-hmm. And they kind of like, it's very vague with it. You know, we want it, but we don't know what we want. For me, I just want to make it like all locally owned, right? Like let's have locally owned shops and let's let the residents money on this, you know, and start developing their brands and just getting into this industry. Like we have people who are working in all these other cities, you know, they're working in all these other cities, they're shopping in all these other cities. We already have a really high leak, right? Mm-hmm. The leak rate means that people from Indio are going to shop
somewhere else
in other cities, right? or going to eat in other cities, just leaving the town to spend their money. And that, I think that just adds on to it, right? That's just another industry that people are leaving Indio to go other places for.
Yeah, that I shop somewhere else too. Yeah. I go to the city. I actually went to the drive-thru in DHS. Have you been to that?
Yeah, I've seen it.
That shit's dope, bro. You have to get out the car. Yeah. That's the future. It said it was Southern California's only drive-thru. Yeah. So that's like the future. You guys need to. That's gotta be priority after COVID. It's like we need a drive-thru marijuana spot here.
And then once the COVID stuff happened too, like all that went to the back burner, right?
Yeah.
Like the focus was
definitely went to focus on the bigger issues.
Yeah, so that was kind of unfortunate. But they actually just brought it up in the last meeting and said we got to do an update on that and see where we're gonna go with them.
I think it just makes sense, but also I love the idea that you said it has to be like locally, because there's gonna be big businesses trying to get in here and big chains, and they're gonna come in because you talked about you gotta get the state license that's like $20,000, and then you gotta get like local permits, and you gotta have the section or the zoning, right? Because it can be close to like schools and
parks and all that. Yeah.
What's
and like we have like Libra in Palm Desert. They're from Indio, you know. They went to Indio High School, so
wow, I didn't know
there's people that are already in the industry, right? That are making moves in the industry, that are doing good things, you know, building good brands and everything. We're the biggest city. No Valley, and we're closed out. Right?
Biggest city, and you have like huge music festivals, and everybody that comes here, they're gonna go shop at all the surrounding areas and go party in Indio, but you're not gonna benefit from none of that. It just makes no sense.
And even the locals, right? People who can't go, who can't drive, maybe people who have disabilities, who have problems getting out to other cities. I knew one of them was a veteran with our work, and he couldn't go. You know, he was on an electric wheelchair, and you know, delivery service would have been good for him, right? Where he wouldn't have to go.
Yeah. No, it's like that's definitely. Hopefully, you guys could get that.
Yeah,
I'll keep pushing. Back on the floor.
Keep pushing for you.
That's good though. And you last time we talked about too. You have a degree from Stanford in chemistry, and you develop your own oils and all this stuff. So how's your personal business been doing?
Yeah, well, you know, I actually don't like to go into it too much when I'm representing the city. I feel like it's just like a conflict, you know. But I mean, I see the industry's doing. It's just moving so fast, and there's so many new things. And even just thinking about right now, you're looking at so usually it's THC, right? For the longest time, that's all we knew about weed was THC. And now there's CBD came in a couple of years ago, and now there's CBG, there's CBN, THC, CBD, all these different compounds, and they're still discovering like what they're going to be good for, right? And they're finding all these good things about each one, different ones. It's going to be huge.
What are some of those? Because I've only heard of CBD and THC. So like, what some of those that you describe? What is that?
So THC is the only one that gets you. Yeah. All the other ones are just medicinal. None of the other ones are psychoactive. But they're starting to see like, are they good for sleeping? Are they good for pain? Are they for inflammation? What are the different ones? And they're very new. So it's going to be a long industry, you know. There's going to be so many new products and new medicines coming out. It's exciting.
No, and I've heard of a lot of people that they used to like be such a negative stigma when it came to CBD products and all this stuff because they always thought, it's drugs and it's all this like bad stuff. And now like I know like my grandma, she takes like lotions and for her knees and her joints. She's like 80. She every time because she lives in Mexico, so every time somebody comes over or whatever, she wants us to send her stuff.
Nice, so. There you go.
I always thought that shit was funny, and other people here too. They're always like trying new products, and like you said, it's not about just getting high because it has actual medicine problems. I have a bad knee. I always put that on, and it does help. Like I don't even know what it does. I don't know the science behind it, but that shit works.
But it's better than messing with all these other stuff like the painkillers and even like ibuprofen. Like long term can damage your stomach. Right? So,
you don't be taking those and all that stuff, you know, you just pop those pills there. They sell them at every store. You don't even think about it.
I think we still got to be careful with it, right? I think for a little while too, people were like, "Oh, well, it's not addictive," and it could be addictive. You know,
everything could be addictive.
Who have, like, issues with like anxiety or depression, definitely be addictive, just like obvious stuff. Physically, I think it's less, right? Like less than opioids. It's still something that we got to educate people on, right? We're not just gonna throw it out there, you know, for everybody to use. Which it kind of does happen, you know, too. Like with the edibles and stuff. Like we used to be like it's like 5x on there. Like what does that mean?
Edibles, you don't even know what it is, but you just like.
But now they're regulated.
Well, now that you have labels, you know,
you have to have.
You have labels. Tested. Before it was like, here, I made some brownies here. You know?
Even the dispensaries, everything used to be like just random stuff. But now everything has to be like very strictly regulated. And it's getting to the and that's what we were working on for so long, like getting stuff to the pharmaceutical level where it's comparable. I know if I go to the store, this pill is going to have 10 milligrams, right? So if I go to the shop and I get a pill there,
and it should be the same.
10 milligrams every time. I don't have to be guessing.
Or like microdosing yourself because you don't know if it's going to be too strong or something or too weak. Paletero.
Get something. You get the wrestler paleta.
The Choco Taco, bro. That shit's fire. I remember that show used to be $1. Now it's like $2.50.
Oh, no way.
Inflation, bro.
That was funny.
No, all those like wrestling paletas or the SpongeBob and all them, like it always looks cool in the picture, and then when you get it, it's all melted. The eyes are in the mouth and shit. That shit is always disappointing, but it was a good sugar rush time. Going back to like we have to see what they do like at a federal level too, because a lot of states, you know, like it's not federally, it's still not legal. And a lot of states are little by little, we're starting to see more and more states. I think it's just a matter of time. I think once it becomes federal, I don't know, what do you think that like 5-10 years from now?
Well, it depends who gets elected, right? We'll see.
Yeah, well, this year's gonna be insane with all the crazy year we've had and the tensions in the streets from both sides. You know, it's this is one of the like biggest elections ever,
It's
bro.
intense out here right now.
I don't think I've ever. I mean, I'm not that old. I haven't experienced too many elections, but this one's just like the tensions are high, the protests. What do you think is gonna happen? Like, I think what either candidate, whoever wins, I feel like the opposite side's gonna there's gonna be like riots in the streets or something, bro.
I don't even know how it could get worse than it is already, right? But it can, it definitely can, right? But I think, like, to me, the way I see it, whatever happens here, like, I don't see either candidate as like it's gonna save us.
Mm-hmm.
Like with both of them, I definitely am not voting for bro. Like this lying all the time, like his campaign people are getting found guilty on all these crimes and stuff like that, and doesn't believe in climate change, all racist stuff that he's saying. I'm just like,
there's a lot of shit.
And then, but I just still see, even with Biden, like his policies and everything, and I just see that we're gonna be the ones that have to step up, right? Like we, as the community, like we're gonna have to push for everything that we want in this country. And like when I'm looking again, like comparing to like Japan, right? If we look at the voting rates, it's like over 90%, and they got universal health care. They got good schools. They're very well educated and stuff.
Yeah.
They were ready for a pandemic. And here, 50-some%, like the voting rates are so low, and then so many millions of people that can't even vote, and then everybody who
they make us extremely hard.
It's not even a real. To me, it's like not even a real democracy, right? If you have that low percentage of voting,
50%,
yeah, and even you look at here in Indio, and it's like I think in the number of adults was something like 50,000. Then the people who were registered to vote like 30,000. The people who actually voted was like 12,000 or something like that.
Wow,
I'm like,
really?
yo, yeah. So out of 100,000 people, you have let's say 20,000 people making all the decisions.
Yeah.
It's less than half, right?
Everybody.
And these are the people that are going to be running our countries, right? So I don't know. It just there's so much work that we have to do, not just in the election, right? We definitely have to. I think we definitely Joe Biden as the next president, just because it's going to be easier to work on all these goals that we have as communities, right? To get to. But it's not.
Do you think he's like stable though?
End, right?
Because like that dude, like there's so many mess ups. Like he looks like he's kind of like too old to run.
Yeah.
Like I think Trump's pretty trash. Like he's already proved that he's done some good stuff, but just like the constant like lying, it feels like he's just doing like stand up comedy when he does like his rallies and shit. Like I listened to some of his speeches, and like half the time it literally feels like if you next time you see a speech from him, don't look at it as like, oh, the president's speaking. Look at it as like, oh, this is gonna do stand up comedy.
Oh, dude,
his timing makes the
every time he comes
jokes.
on TV, my family starts laughing at how ridiculous it sounds.
No, it's literally like a joke, bro. But so like that dude's just like, you have to sound presidential, I think you have to, at least Biden sounds presidential, but then you have Biden fonts, like he looks like he's just sometimes
I think
not
just like
there.
Morals, like where are your morals at too, right?
Yeah.
And that's where like Trump's just off, right? Like he's just lied on so many things, and it just seems like he's very self-promoting, right? He just wants to make it seem like he's always right, and
but people
contradicting, the experts, health experts during the pandemic, and all the stuff with his campaign team and like dealing with Russia and all that stuff. He's just such a risk to our country. And and even just how he responds to pandemics, to racial tensions, to immigration, like it's just horrible.
Instead, I think like that was the biggest problem with the pandemic. Like he didn't bring the country together, because instead of bringing the country, he was fueling all these people like, oh yeah, like if you don't want to wear a mask, you don't have to. We don't know the science. Even though the scientists are telling us this, and other countries are following the rules, he was fueling the people that are like not trying to follow the CDC guidelines, you know? And it's like, instead of doing that, like, why not we're going to get this together. We're trying to see what the experts are saying. We're trying to like prevent people from dying. But instead he's trying to pick fights and pick sides and divide the country. Like, come on, bro. Like,
and from what I see,
that was like the last straw, because he had done some good stuff. Like, I know he's like all like self-promoting and stuff, but I was like, okay, he's not as bad as people expected. Like, as soon as 2016 happened, everyone thought we were all gonna like, it was gonna be like the end of the world, type shit.
But I mean, you could go to the detention centers and see if it's not the end of the world for them, right?
Yeah,
that's some ugly stuff happening, and that's where, like, even for me, that's a very personal issue for me, right? The immigration, and so with Biden, I was actually out protesting when Biden and Obama were in office because they were expanding those detention centers, right?
Well, they were the ones that kind of started, right?
It had already started before, but it was expanding, right? And that system was expanding, and you see all these ACLU lawsuits of all these horrible things that were happening there. So we were out on the streets already.
Yeah.
And this one came in and he was like, separate them from their mothers. And that's like, that's a no. You know, that's to me, that's just such a huge crime to separate a child from their mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just cruel, right? Cruel and evil. Like, to me, it's just one of the worst things that you could promote, right, in a country. And he was trying to get everybody to go along with it, right? And ultimately, he didn't get it to last too long. But if you can imagine all those hundreds or thousands of people that were split up like that, and the trauma that causes, it's long lasting, right?
And it's a lifetime for kids, you know.
It's lifelong trauma, and it kind of reminded me too of like the stuff that happened with the Native Americans in the past, right, where they were separated from their parents, and they were taken to schools to like be re-educated, and they weren't able to speak in their own languages, and you see a lot of the results of that now, like with a lot of drug use, alcoholism, and stuff. Generational, right? There's a lot of struggles. And so they know that when you separate the kids from their mothers, it's going to be generational trauma, you know. So to me, it's a very like intentional way to mess up the entire populations of people. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. Yeah. It's hard, like, because they just made such a big deal about it, you know. They like feel like they need to do that to pander to their base. I think that's what like have a lot of these issues are that is he knows that he's not gonna get reelected unless he kind of doubles down on those like issues, you know, like, oh, stop immigration, build the wall, do this, have your freedoms, like, you know what I mean? Like all this shit he's doing is he's just trying to get reelected, and he knows that unless he goes hardcore on that base that like loves him, he's not gonna win because
they always
70% of the country doesn't like him. You know what I mean? Like, and the bad part is that not enough people vote. If people actually voted, because most people know that this is not a good president. Like, even if you're like, oh, this guy's cool, you know he's not a good president. Like, he's already done so many fuck ups, and I think it's time to change. But then on the Democratic side, like, why they bring out Joe Biden, bro?
Yeah,
like, he's
exactly
the worst candidate out of all of them, bro.
So you know, I was working for Bernie.
Yeah,
I was Bernie. A field director out here, and we were pushing so hard on that too, right? And to have what happened, right? Where you have 4 people drop out right before Super Tuesday, which one of the biggest days of the election, just so, you know, Bernie wouldn't be the candidate. Oh, dang.
That's 2 back to back. They just did him dirty because in 2016 too, they kind of just they pushed Hillary because they wanted Hillary because she was the establishment. And again,
you can even see like before a debate would happen, it would just be like an hour of talking down on Bernie before the debate even opened up, right? Like everybody just talking
and
about
everybody attacking him. And I mean, he had a lot of people are afraid of socialism. So what is like your opinion on socialism or like some of the policies, like high taxes, and a lot of people don't want more taxes, you know, like people, the people.
I don't really subscribe to any like socialism's good or capitalism's good or any one system. Is like, yo, show me the programs. If the programs make sense, then we're gonna do it, right? Yeah. So like with the Medicare for all, right? It makes sense in all these other countries. Makes sense. Exactly. It makes sense. It's what we need, right? We have people who are spending way too much on healthcare. Healthcare prices are through the roof. It makes sense. Affordable housing. You had a huge affordable housing program, planning on funding all this affordable housing throughout the nation during one of the biggest housing, right? It makes sense.
Like one of the biggest things is like I know a lot of stories of like, let's say you're hurt or something, you don't want to call an ambulance because it's like $10,000 or $15,000. Like I'm just gonna drive myself all wounded and shit or like you're not gonna call an ambulance because you don't want to pay that bill. Like for myself, I don't have health insurance. I have a bad knee, bro. Like I know I need knee surgery, and I can't afford. I think it's like over $10,000 to get knee surgery. I can't afford that, so I'm struggling with my knee because I'm like I can't afford this. And there's countless of worse stories. You know, like I'm healthy compared to some people who can't afford just medicine, like insulin and all that shit. I know they finally like dropped the price of insulin for the first time and whatever, but all these like pills that people rely on just to survive, and all these like big corporations are just making bank on people suffering. And
so I do think like stuff like that needs to be regulated, right? It can't just be left up to big companies to decide how much we're going to be paying for knee surgeries or insulin, all this stuff. Like definitely,
that's almost like a human right, especially if you're one of the top countries in the world. Like we're not like in the middle of the pack countries. Literally, they want to say it's the greatest country, and it kind of is because it kind of drives everything in the world. Everything runs through U.S., but how do you not take care of the people that live here first? I think that's just especially
and the majority of the country supports it, right?
Yeah, like no, like I guess people who
But
have money
the
tied
two
in.
parties won't support it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's that connection. There's a missing connection, right? Like you're saying, like how is it Joe Biden that has to be the candidate and Trump too? Like there's nobody who ran against Trump or nothing. But man,
Yeah, like it's
now that's what we got now. So we got to work with
Oscar.
it.
You gotta run for president.
I can't. I'm from Mexico.
Oh, that's true. You're born in Mexico. Damn, bro. We gotta.
Mexicali.
What about like at least what's like the highest position you could get? Like
I don't know.
well, at least for sure, like governor, because Arnold wasn't born here.
That's true.
You gotta be governor, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta get on the phone with the president, bro. It's like,
yeah, we'll see, man.
do you ever think you want to like look at maybe 20 years down the road, like keep going up? Right now, you're sitting council, maybe mayor one day, maybe state senate.
I'll be mayor
Congress.
in 2022.
You're gonna run for mayor?
No, I'll be mayor because we rotate in Indio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'll be mayor in 2022, I think, if things go as planned now.
Oh, okay.
For the future, like I really don't like to plan those kind of things just because.
We can't control what's gonna happen.
No, well, I think also because like if you get into that mindset, then it's like I have to be the candidate, right? Whereas in my mindset is whoever's the best person should be the candidate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if like that opportunity is not being a candidate for somebody, but working behind the scenes for somebody who's working at the state or working in Congress, something like that, right? Any of those opportunities, I think will be amazing.
Yeah,
just to be able to have an impact, even if you're not the face of the campaign or whatever. Like with Bernie's, right? I wasn't the face of the campaign here, but I was behind the scenes, organizing everything, and just trying to make it happen.
Whatever's
right?
in your power to do, you know.
Whatever we got to do to make things happen for the people, man. That's what we're gonna do.
That's sick. No, I like your style. Like you said, you don't care about right, left, whatever, social. You're just trying to make shit that helps people that you see and common sense stuff. And a lot of stuff is common sense, but a lot of times even in like Congress, they don't want to vote for stuff because the other parties like you don't want to help out.
Well, right now, it's stimulus, right? Where everybody's waiting on the stimulus.
Dumb, it's been
nobody get it done.
They can't get it done. And people are suffering.
It's probably because they are both throwing stuff into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we could just have a bill that says let's pass a stimulus for everybody, but they're like, well, let's pass stimulus and all the stuff that I want. They're like, oh, well, let's pass this stimulus, but all the stuff that I want. No, we can't.
Like, and then that's the problem. And everybody's just been watching for months and months.
Yeah,
I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna do. I feel like they're gonna do one right before the election to bring the morale up to like. But then, dude, I was watching some report about the election how. Since there's gonna be so many mail-in ballots, it's gonna take forever it might even take a week or two to find out who's actually gonna win by the time they get everything counted.
That's fine. We can wait a week.
Well, it might be more than 1 week because on some of the local government stuff that they did mail-in ballots, it took them forever because you got to make sure everything's not rigged. So you got to have like moderators.
Depends how close it is, right?
So it's gonna be like when the first like wave of votes is gonna be like, oh, Trump's winning by so much because we're still waiting to count all the fucking mail like weeks. There's not gonna be an announcement on November 3rd. We're not gonna find out probably like till like middle of November by Thanksgiving and shit.
Yeah.
Like Thursday Night Football, they're gonna tell us halftime show. They're gonna be like, oh, the president. It's gonna be chaos, bro.
Oh man, yeah, I could feel the tension just going up, right? Like October's gonna be tense.
I kind of been, I don't know, like I try not to get too political or like try to engage too much because it's just the whole time is division and fighting. And you make one comment about anything and they, oh, you support this person. Or you make a comment about this, oh, you support this person. And it's like, no, I'm just making a comment on this specific little policy or this action, you know, and it's just...
I make it pretty clear, right? But I try to be like straightforward.
No,
right?
no.
Like, bring some facts with it and everything.
Exactly.
Like, this is what's happening, right? Like, just objectively, like, this is what's going on right now.
No, for sure.
Just to let people see, like, what their leadership is doing.
And at the end of the day, it's like we gotta make sure that that we help the people, and I wish it was that easy, bro. But it's just like just too many debates, too many things, and nothing gets done.
And even like here at the city, you know, I'm always just trying to make sure everybody knows what's going on. So you send me posts like the agendas, right? So because I'm just looking at from the outside and how people are seeing what the city is doing, right? So when we used to go door knocking, a lot of people didn't even know who the council members were. They don't know that
to be honest,
meetings at the city.
Before I started like talking to you guys, and I didn't know nothing about like the local politicians. Like you might hear about the mayor. I didn't know no one on the city council, no one like Coachella City Council, let alone the other cities. Like it just, like you said, not enough people are engaged, and maybe with social media, I feel like you're starting to see more movements or young people starting support. Speaking of that, right now we have a lot of, besides the big elections, we have a lot of local stuff happening.
Yeah.
City council members, the mayor of Coachella's up for grabs.
Yeah,
So
that one's gonna be a good one.
yeah,
That one's gonna be a good one. Leslie Figueroa and Steve. Yeah,
It's
Steve
gonna-
Hernandez.
it's gonna
They're
be,
both
it's gonna be
just
fun.
really intelligent people,
Yeah.
and they're both really hardworking people.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be like I see Leslie's campaign and what they're doing. They're going out knocking doors, right? They got a crew.
they're going from the ground up, and then they
Yeah.
have the support of young people. I think that's pretty
And
good.
then Steven, you look at him, and he just has so much knowledge from being there for so long, right?
Mhm.
And just when I talk to him, he just has a clear vision of how to get this done, right?
Yeah, and
If you
he's
want to
gotten
do this,
stuff
this is how
done.
and you can see the results.
Because he hasn't been just talk, like he's actually made a lot of changes. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
fun. So who are you endorsing? Like any local
Yeah.
politicians you're endorsing, city council members?
Right now, I'm trying to focus on Indio a lot, just
Yeah.
because, especially there with how things are going, a lot of times it ends up being 3-2 vote, right? We're always split, right?
Yeah.
And I think so. One more vote on that seat, and it's going to change. It's going to change.
Move things forward.
Everything's going to move a little faster, right?
Mhm.
At least in the way that I would like this to move, right? So I think there we have District 5's up for election. So
Mhm.
currently there is Lupe Ramos. And then you have challenging her is going to be Eric Lemus and Frank Ruiz.
Okay.
And I think there I'm going to be going with Eric Lemus.
Okay.
The community organizer out here has been putting a lot of work. Definitely, he's always paid attention to our meetings and stuff too, following the agendas and all that from his work in the past. So I think it'd be a good one on that one. And then in District 1, we have Glenn Miller is who's the mayor now. He's going to be up for election as well in November. And there you're going to have Erin Turan, who's going to be challenging him there.
Mhm.
And I think I'm going to go with Erin on that one too.
Okay.
She's actually a local nurse.
Oh yeah.
And she has some past experience working with like developers and stuff like that too. So she knows a little bit more on the development side and on the
On
healthcare
hands.
side.
Yeah, she's been
Works with a lot of people out in the community, so those are gonna be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I have I'm scheduling to speak with Lemus
Oh, nice.
with Eric.
Eric's coming through.
Yeah, Eric. We're scheduled for tomorrow, but we got some conflicting schedules. But I'm also going to speak with Leslie and
nice.
Steven coming up
Oh,
in
cool.
the next few weeks. So
Dang.
I want to give them both a platform, not at the same time, or maybe you guys want to have a debate.
They're
Make that
gonna have
happen.
the forums coming up with the chamber.
But no, I want to kind of give them a platform, because especially for Leslie, so she's like the newcomer, and I feel like everybody deserves a platform to express their opinions, because a lot of them is like quick little social media posts, or you see a flyer on the streets, and maybe a 5-minute thing on the news, but that's not enough time to let people know who you are, what's your background, what policies you think, what things that you don't like about the city, what made, you know what I mean? Like, people want to know who these people are. And I think, it doesn't have to be my platform, but other people's platforms too, just to kind of give that.
Yeah, get the conversations going.
Get the conversations going. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I like this
Especially
person.
right now, it's harder to do that, right? Person to person.
Yeah.
There's no really events going on. It's gonna be a crazy election.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's
Man,
just-
everything's so different this year.
Everything's voting. You don't know who's gonna win until like it's gonna be fun, bro. Then 2020, that's gonna be the final chapter, bro. It's been crazy. It's been like a TV show.
Yeah.
Every like new episode's like something crazier happening.
I just feel like it's just the work's gonna keep going, like November's not gonna stop nothing. Like no matter who wins, like there's so much work to do, right? There's so much work to do here, and it's like there's a lot of like we said, like common sense improvement that has to happen, right? With engagement, with like healthcare, with housing, and all this stuff. So I'm just like, yo, we're in it for the long run. I don't care who wins, we're gonna be pushing and pushing.
2020 was such a wake up call too, that how important it is to have the right people in charge, because if you have, whether it's local or at the top, if they're just not taking stuff serious, shit could go out of hand, and we have the worst freaking numbers in the whole world. Like, you know what I mean? So it is so important, local level, state, everything. We got to take care of make the right choices and make sure you keep them in check too after you elect them.
And that's the thing, you look locally and out of the mayors. So when we were talking about this, right, the COVID coming in, there was everybody here was pushing back against closing anything. They just wanted to keep businesses open. Can you imagine like what would have happened if we would have kept everything open, if our numbers were already that bad?
Yeah.
Like, man.
I know people don't want to lose their jobs.
And they had a mayor's meeting here, and I think every one of them except the one from Coachella, every mayor said that we should keep things open.
Oh, really?
While the COVID numbers were starting to come up. And then the governor actually, the day after that meeting, the governor stepped in and said, we're closed. Yeah.
First it was county basis, right? And then they're like just statewide, because it got pretty tough, but I think we'll get through it. Well, Oscar, Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Pretty cool
It's always
conversation.
fun. Yeah.
And no, we'll definitely do more until once I get that studio downtown.
Oh, there you go. Let me know.
Spoiler alert, that's gonna be happening. we'll get some good stuff happening there. So thank you for coming on, and
all right.
Hopefully we survive 2020.
All right, thank you.